If you're a beginner color grader and you just downloaded Davinci Resolve, there's going to be a couple of things you need to know. Firstly, there's going to be this node tree here. And secondly, it's going to be how to convert log footage and bring in some of that color. So I'm going to show you today an easy color grading process with just a couple of nodes just to get you started and to make things easier for you. Let's hop into Davinci and let's see what we can do. As you can see, I'm now in Davinci Resolve and we actually have some footage on the timeline that is shooting from red, and this has no color on it. This is the flat profile and it looks a little bit ugly, right? But what I'm going to do is show you how to use a couple of nodes to get this thing back looking like it was when you shot it, or even better than when you shot it. So let's take a look. So if you go to the color tab here, you're going to see that you have your picture in the middle and you're going to have one little small node on the right. And you're gonna have all these LUTS menus down here. What the hell does all this mean, Trey? What is going on? But I'm gonna break down every single thing for you to make it super easy for you. First thing you wanna do is make sure you come down here. You see it says HDR, don't worry about that. Switch over to the first color wheel, and this is where your primary is gonna be done. This is gonna be your shadows, midtones, and highlights. And this is what you're gonna be focusing on after you finish converting your image. You're gonna be balancing your image out. Go ahead and set up your node tree just as this. So you have your first node, we can use that as primaries, right? It's already here. Just go ahead and leave it as it is. Right click and go ahead and name that node primary, right? This is where your shadows, midtones, and highlights will go. What you want to do is right click and hit add node and hit add serial. This is going to be your secondary node. Your secondary nodes is kind of where you do a lot of the fancy color adjustments and adding tint and adding different colors to each part of your picture. So if you want to make your gain red, you know, you can do that here. If you want to make it a little bit bluer, you can do that here, but don't do that inside of your primary node. Keep the primary and secondary node as separate as you can. Now that we got the secondary node set up, let's go ahead and set up our conversion node. This is where things get a little bit funny for people because a lot of people don't even know what the hell a conversion even is. So in order to get this red footage to look actually like something, you're going to need to convert it to Rec 709. Now, a lot of you may not have these conversion LUTs on hand. So what I'm going to do is drop a link in the description to get you some free conversion LUTs for every single camera. And this website, you might want to bookmark it because it's kind of a game changer. And I'll go ahead and add that on here. If you go down to LUT and you've dragged it into your NLE, make sure you drag it into Davinci, into the folders. And I can show you how to do that as well if you need it. And once it's in the folders, it should be right here under LUT and go down to log conversion. And then I have a couple here, red wide gamut, bam, throw that on there. And if you look at the image, we now have some color back. Now, I've got one more secret for you. The last secret is going to be this last node here, which is your LUT node. Now, we all talk about LUTs a lot. Everybody thinks that LUTs are the bane of your existence. You should not be using LUTs at all. I disagree. I think if you're new and you want to kind of get a base set up, go ahead and use your LUTs. So go ahead and add serial and add this next node and label it your LUT node, right? Now, if you want to, you can go right ahead and go to that same website I got linked in the description and find any red LUTs that can work for your image. I already have some set up, so I'll go right here to LUT, I'll go down to red, and I can add any of these nodes right here. Any one of them, high contrast, low contrast, whatever you call it. I also have a second folder set up for some more creative stuff that brings in a little bit more color. Look at that, man. Now that we have our node tree set up, it's time to get to work on a proper image. So you're gonna click and go back to your primary image, and this is where you're gonna start balancing things out. If you notice your shadows are a little bit too low or a little bit too high, bring them up. If you wanna go for a different type of darker look, you can bring the shadows down a little bit. Let's go to the midtones here. That's a little bright, right? So bring the midtones down and then go to your highlights here. You can also do temperature here and white balance here if you'd like. You can go right in here and flip a couple of things over, move things around. If you wanna make a little bit more of a warm image, go ahead and drag your temperature around here. That's good for me. For you, you may want to add a couple different things to your footage, but this is just an example. So now we can go to our secondaries. And what do you do in your secondaries? You see these little dials here. You can pull these and start stylizing, right? You can stylize anything you want with these dials. And you can add some things here. This is also where you can get some skin tones done. I won't go into skin tones specifically on this video because skin tones are an entire beast. But look out for my next video about skin tones because they're really important. They're done, your image is done. And it's super easy to actually now go in, maybe customize some curves too. You know what I mean? Really get the little bit, really get the most you can out of your image. As you can see, this is where my image is mostly having problems at. See, that's where all the information is right there. Look at that. You have now colored your first image, especially dealing with log footage. Is there any more to do? Of course there is. There's always more you can do to perfect your image and to make things look more high quality for you. You can do this in just a couple of minutes. You just seen it. So for you guys that are very intimidated by this node system, and you guys have looked online and seen pro colorists have all these different nodes, you don't need all of that. Dude, you're probably making YouTube videos, you might make a little short film here and there, but you do not need to have 25 different nodes with all these different things going on. Use 3 to 4 at first, right? And if you want to add things on, let's say you want to go in here and you want to just touch the grass only. You can right click, you can add a serial node and name it just grass. And once you get it named to grass, you can go down here and you can make your little power window, or you can draw a line as you see and focus on the grass on the left, or you can draw and do whatever you want to do. There's a pencil here, you can draw around it, you can draw around your people. There's so much that you can do in Davinci Resolve that makes the color grading process a lot easier than it actually seems. So if you guys like this video and you guys found this super helpful, make sure you give me a subscribe down below. Comment down below what you need help with in your next type of project, whether it be skin tones or whether it be actually setting up a proper timeline. Whatever it is, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think, and let's chat soon. See ya.